Now, since I've finished a little early, and it is the feast of St. Michael, I've got a story to share with you, and I was kind of trying to work it into the homily, but then that might make the homily a little too long. So, since we've got a little extra time, I'll do it now. I didn't have time to read through it. I mean, I've read it before, but hopefully I'll get the point across. You know, there's a story about a young Marine named Michael who wrote a letter to his mother while he was in the hospital after having been wounded in Korea in 1950. A Navy chaplain named Father Walter Mulder apparently was given the letter. He did a little research, checked out the facts, and concluded that what was in the letter was true. A year later, he read the letter in public for the first time to a gathering of some 5,000 Marines at the naval base in San Diego. And here's the letter. Dear Mom, I wouldn't dare write this letter to anyone else but you, because no one else would believe it. Maybe even you'll find it hard, but I've got to tell somebody. First off, I'm in a hospital. Now don't worry, you hear me? Don't worry. I was wounded, but I'm going to be okay. You understand? Okay. The doctor says, I'll be up and around in a month. But that isn't what I wanted to tell you. Remember when I joined the Marines last year? Remember when I left? How you told me to say a prayer to St. Michael every day? You didn't really have to tell me that. Ever since I can remember, you always told me to pray to St. Michael the Archangel. You even named me after him. Well, I always have. When I got to Korea, I prayed even harder. Remember the prayer you taught me? Michael, Michael of the morning, fresh cord of dawn adorning. You know the rest of it. Well, I said it every day. Sometimes when I was marching or sometimes resting, but always before I went to sleep. I even got some of the other fellows to say it. Well, one day I was with an advanced detail way up over the front lines. We were scouting for the commies. I was plodding along in the bitter cold. My breath was like cigar smoke. I thought I knew every guy in the patrol, when alongside me comes this other Marine I'd never seen before. He was bigger than any other Marine I'd ever seen. He must have been 6'4" and built to proportion. It gave me a feeling of security to have such a buddy near. Anyway, there we were trudging along. The rest of the patrol spread out. Just to start conversation, I said, "Cold, ain't it?" And then I laughed. Here I was with a good chance of getting killed any minute, and I'm talking about the weather. My companion seemed to understand. I heard him laugh softly. I looked at him. "I've never seen you before. I thought I knew every man in the outfit." "I just joined at the last minute," he replied. "The name is Michael." "Is that so?" I said, surprised. "That's my name too." "I know," he said, and then went on, "Michael, Michael of the morning." I was too amazed to say anything for a minute. How did he know my name and the prayer that you had taught me? Then I smiled to myself. Every guy in the outfit knew me, Hadn't I taught the prayer to anybody who would listen? Why now and then they even referred to me as Saint Michael. Neither of us spoke for a time, and then he broke the silence. We're going to have some trouble up ahead. He must have been in fine physical shape, or he was breathing so lightly I couldn't see his breath. Mine poured out in great clouds. There was no smile on his face now. Trouble ahead, I thought to myself. Well, with the commies all around us, that's no great revelation. Snow began to fall in great thick globs. In a brief moment, the whole countryside was blotted out, and I was marching in a white fog of wet, sticky particles. My companion disappeared. "Michael!" I shouted in alarm. I felt his hand on my arm. His voice was rich and strong. "This will stop shortly." His prophecy proved to be correct. In a few minutes, the snow stopped as abruptly as it had begun. The sun was a hard, shining disk. I looked back for the rest of the patrol. There was no one in sight. We had lost him in that heavy snowfall. I looked ahead as we came over a little rise. Mom, my heart stopped. There were 7 of them. 7 commies in their padded pants and jackets and their funny hats. Only there wasn't anything funny about them now. 7 rifles were aimed at us. "Down, Michael!" I screamed and hit the frozen earth. I heard those rifles fire almost as one. I heard the bullets. There was Michael, still standing. Mom, those guys couldn't have missed. Not at that range. I expected to see him literally blown to bits. But there he stood, making no effort to fire himself. He was paralyzed with fear. It happens sometimes, Mom, even to the bravest. He was like a bird fascinated by a snake. At least, that's what I thought then. I jumped up to pull him down, and that was when I got mine. I felt a sudden flame in my chest. I often wondered what it felt like to be hit. Now I know. I remember feeling strong arms around me, arms that laid me ever so gently on a pillow of snow. I opened my eyes for one last look. I was dying. Maybe I was even dead. I remember thinking, well, this isn't so bad. Maybe I was looking into the sun. Maybe I was in shock. But it seemed I saw Michael standing erect again. Only this time his face was shining with a terrible splendor. As I say, maybe it was the sun in my eyes, but he seemed to change as I watched him. He grew bigger, his arms stretched out wide. Maybe it was the snow falling again, but there was a brightness around him, like the wings of an angel. In his hand was a sword that flashed with a million lights. Well, that's the last thing I remember until the rest of the fellows came up and found me. I don't know how much time had passed. Now and then, I had but a moment's rest from the pain and fever. I remember telling them of the enemy just ahead. "Where's Michael?" I asked. I saw them look at one another. Where's who? Asked one. Michael. Michael, that big Marine I was walking with just before the snow squall hit us. Kid, said the sergeant, you weren't walking with anyone. I had my eyes on you the whole time. You were getting too far out. I was just about to call you in when you disappeared in the snow. He looked at me curiously. How'd you do it, kid? How'd I do what? I asked, half angry despite my wound. The Marine named Michael and I were just, son, said the sergeant kindly. I picked up this outfit myself, and there just ain't another Michael in it. You're the only Mike in it. He paused for a minute. Just how'd you do it, kid? We heard shots. There hasn't been a shot fired from your rifle. And there isn't a bit of lead in them 7 bodies over the hill there. I didn't say anything. What could I say? I could only look, open-mouthed with amazement. It was then the sergeant spoke again. Kid, he said gently, every one of those 7 commies over the hill there was killed by a sword stroke. That's all I can tell you, Mom. As I say, it may have been the sun in my eyes. It may have been the cold or the pain. But that's what happened. Love, Michael. Saint Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the Holy Host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.